Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new malicious compliance content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, Call the Maintenance Guy to Open the Gate? Will do. Years ago, I lived in a trailer park. Manufactured home community. They were nice trailers, but they were still trailers, and during a summer when I inherited my dad's little fishing boat, I was informed I wasn't allowed to park the boat in our driveway. It fit completely in the driveway and did not hang out onto the road. When I mentioned that this rule was nowhere in my lease, they said, "Oh, the rule was just changed this year, it'll be on your next lease," and it was. I asked what they expected me to do with my boat, and they said, "There's a community lot at the end of the block where tenants are expected to park their trailers and boats. You can park it there for free." Great, that'll free up space in my driveway, then. I decided to play along instead of fighting it, and when I went to get my boat out of the lot that Saturday, the gate was locked. I impatiently stomped over to the office, telling them I wasn't told the gate would be locked, and I wasn't given a key to get my boat out. "Oh, the residents don't get keys to that gate." Hold up. You're requiring me to park my boat there, but you're not giving me access to my boat? All you have to do is call the park maintenance guy when you need to get something out, and he'll come open it up. Now, I tried to argue with her about how inconvenient that is for literally everyone involved, and how it'd be so much simpler to just make a bunch of copies of the key, and sign one over to each person who has to keep something there. Hell, let me borrow the key right now, and I'll go down to the hardware store and I will pay to get my own copy made. You could even make us all sign for the keys, with a fee if we lose it. Sir, we don't do that for security reasons. If there are multiple keys floating around out there, anyone could get access to your boat. I decided to ignore how stupid that was, since if my boat was in my driveway, where I really wanted it, anyone could get access to it, and that's what tongue locks are for, smiled, and said, "You know what, you're right. I wasn't thinking clearly. Please give me the phone number for the maintenance guy, and I will just give him a call when I need to get my boat out." I went home and checked the weather for the weekend. Warm, sunny, and calm all Sunday. Sounds like a perfect day for fishing. And you know what? I want to make the most out of my fishing trip, so I'm going to get an early start. I woke up at 5 in the morning, got myself all ready, packed my gear into the back of my truck, and drove on over to the trailer lot. I then called the maintenance guy, who answers with a groggy, and clearly still half asleep, "Hello? Me." In my best, shit-eating, chipper voice, "Good morning. I was told I have to call you to get my trailer out of the lot." Him. "It's like 5 in the morning. You're going to have to wait." Me. "No, sir. I've got things to do today, and I need to get an early start, so I'm going to need to get into that lot now." Him. With noticeable irritation in his voice, "Give me 5 minutes. About 10 minutes later he pulls up to the gate, very visibly disgruntled about the whole thing. I just give him a smile, and a "good morning." Him. As he's unlocking the gate, "You need your trailer to move tree limbs or something?" Me. "Oh, no, my boat's on it, and I need it for fishing." Him. "That couldn't wait until a decent hour?" Me. "No, my life doesn't revolve around your sleep schedule. Of course, if I had my own key to this gate, you wouldn't need to be here at all. I had a great day fishing. When I got back, the gate was no longer locked, and I never saw a lock on it again." Edit. To be clear, part of the reason I didn't feel too horrible about inconveniencing the maintenance guy is because he was already on my bad side after a run-in about a year earlier when he tried to steal my wife's parrot cage, and was generally just useless at his job as a maintenance man anyway. This incident wasn't his fault, and he didn't deserve my maliciousness in this instant, but I'm also not losing any sleep over it. Next one is titled, Want to make my job as an RA harder? I will make sure you are up all hours of the night alongside me. I went to school and immediately became the world's worst RA resident advisor on a college campus, to avoid moving back home. Instead of being in a normal, hall with crazy freshmen. I was put into a complex that had grad students, people with children, and some others mixed in. I was pretty relaxed about the rules unless someone was making it hard on someone with young kids. The setup of the dorm was more of a complex. 7 different stacks of apartments with 4 floors and a connecting basement. You couldn't walk from one section to another continuously. You would need to go downstairs and exit the building, then come back in at another entrance. This is important to note. You can't even get to the office with all the keys without leaving the building. The rules said that we needed to be on call, ready to let in drunks who lost their keys, respond to emergencies, etc. From the hours of 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and you needed to sit in the office from 8 p.m. to midnight and complete rounds around the building throughout the night. Even though I was pretty relaxed about the rules, I was able to intervene in some scary situations and help out. The craziest call was an armed robbery in the hall next door. I've also had crazy girls bite people and tweak out trying to jump out windows. Anyways, my direct supervisor tried to make it as easy as possible for us to do our jobs. There was a phone in the office that you could forward to your cell phone so that you could respond to calls anywhere on campus. I may or may not have gone to the art studio to work, or gone to other buildings on campus to hang out until I received a call and would walk back to my building to help. Other halls did not have this luxury and needed to use either the office phone in their hall or a raw phone located in their room. Other RAs caught wind that we could forward it to our cell phones and complained. Remember, I have a massive, multi-section complex with about 20 entrances and exits to patrol. Because of the size of the complex, if I were to follow the rules and only use my room phone, I would need to walk up and down 4 flights of stairs to make calls back to people, and I would be a good 5-minute walk away from the phone just while doing my mandatory rounds. On a peak weekend I received 81 calls in 2 days. The admins decided they wanted to force us to use the provided phones and not forward it to our cell phones. There was also a stern reminder that under no circumstances are we to leave the building without calling a supervisor first. Okay, bet. I was the senior RA and told my coworkers that we were absolutely going to follow those rules and under no circumstances were we to leave the building without calling the supervisor. I reiterated that we needed to call them to let them know we were exiting the building no matter what time of night it was. Remember how you can't walk through the building without exiting and re-entering each of the 7 parts of the complex? So for a few nights I made sure to call my supervisor every time I did a walkthrough of the building. That meant a minimum of 21 calls a night for the mandatory 3 walkthroughs of 7 sections. I made sure my coworkers did the same. And that was on top of every single time someone was locked out. I needed to physically walk outside the complex to get to the office. I think it lasted 1 weekend and the official rulebook was changed. Next one is titled, "No Officer, I Haven't Been Drinking." I was just reading someone's account of the police stopping them for no reason and was reminded of this malicious compliance. Not huge, but it amused me. I had been out for the night, and was driving home. Despite having been in an establishment serving alcoholic drinks, I hadn't been partaking in booze because having just 1 alcoholic drink then stopping tends to make me sleepy and/or wanting more. So I'd drunk coffee and soft drinks all night. I was hungry, and I actually enjoy kebabs as a fast food. I saw a kebab shop and stopped, ordering a large kebab with chili sauce. I ate my food and continued on my journey. Shortly after my stop I arrived at a set of traffic lights with a filter lane for turning right. Here in the UK, some traffic lights have a stop light for the filter lane as well as a green arrow. Others have a green arrow for when you can turn without any interference, but you can go when the main light turns green too. A light dusting of rain started, and I thought it was the latter type. It was only halfway through the turn, with no traffic at all. I realized it was the former and I'd technically run a red light. Oops. Oh well. A white transit van followed me through and started following me really close. When I looked through my wing mirror I could see the blue lights on top of this van flashing. This was before they routinely had lights in the front grille. I pull over. 2 police get out of the van. Plod 1 and Plod 2. Plod 1 asks me to turn off the ignition and talk to him on the pavement. Plod 2 is walking round and round my car. Plod 1. Where have you been out? Me. With some friends for the evening. Plod 1. Have you been drinking? Me. Nope, no point in just having one. Ramble through my explanation. I stopped from some food and am off home. Plod 1. Yes, we started following you at the kebab place. So no drinking? Me. Nope, realizing they definitely noticed the illegal right turn and bricking it. Plod 1. Breathe on me. Me. Are you sure? I've just had a. Plod 1. Yes, just breathe on me. Well, half a dozen cups of black coffee, and a kebab covered in chili sauce made for breath which most people wouldn't want near them. Not like I was going home to anyone, so not a big problem for me. But since he insisted, I breathed on him, where he'd placed his face, 6 inches from mine. He seemed to gain an extra articulation in his spine as he tried to bend backwards away from the smell. He coughed, and eventually spluttered, "Thank you sir, that's all." I drove home with a massive grin. Plod 2 looked like he was pissing his pants as I left. Plod 1 looked green. Moral. Don't interrupt people when they're trying to warn you. All because he couldn't be bothered with the paperwork for breathalyzing someone who was sober. Last one is titled, "How dare you help other customers? Stay where you are put." Context. I'm a cashier at my local Wally World, and due to this incident and others, I've recently submitted a 2-week notice. This incident revolves all around my god-awful supervisor. Let's call her Karen. Karen is one of those supervisors where it's her way or the highway, even if she's wrong. She also clearly has favorites, and when I reported her for constantly harassing me while I was on the clock to join her Juice Plus diet regimen, after I told her multiple times that trying to get me to join it was triggering my eating disorder, and making fun of our coworkers' body types, she immediately retaliated. She would ignore my requests for her override, talk to me as if I'm stupid, and would do her best to get me written up, even if I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, I have been recognized multiple times for my excellent customer service by upper management and have trained almost every cashier in the store. The only reason I don't get promoted is because I have a physical disability that impacts my ability to do the physical aspects of the supervisor role. The cast. Op. Yours truly Karen. Awful supervisor, Banshee NS. Nice supervisor T. Trainee C. Customer. Background. At my store, there is a large self-checkout station right next to a smaller, belted self-checkout station. The smaller section only contains 3 lanes, so sometimes our supervisors would have one person work both sections since there's never enough cashiers. Since I'm 19, I'm also one of the few cashiers at my store who are able to sell alcohol without a supervisor override. Finally, I was training a brand new hire that was not old enough to sell. The story. I clock in and head over to NS to get my station assignment for the day. NS. Hey Op, this is T. Can you train him over at the big self-checkout station for me, and can you cover the small section too? I don't have enough people to watch over it. Op. No problem. Nice to meet you, T. Let's get started with the basics. So I train T for a bit, and show him how to handle the registers, communicate with customers, and the likes. This is when I get an alert that a customer over on the belted lane has alcohol and that we need to approve it. Op. So T, technically there should be someone watching over this area, but since we don't have enough people, we are covering it for a bit. I'll check their ID, and then we'll head back. As I finish checking their ID, I hear it. The huff that I've gotten to know all too well. The huff of Karen. Karen. Just what do you think you're doing? Op. I'm checking this customer's ID for their alcohol purchase? Karen. Absolutely not. You do not leave the big checkout lane unattended. Op. You've told me to leave it unattended to help customers here multiple times, and we don't have anyone working over here. Karen. I don't care. You stay where you're put, or I'll have you written up. Cue malicious compliance. You don't want me to help customers, Karen? Fine. So, time goes by, and I continue training T. He was pretty upset that Karen had talked to me like that, but I told him not to worry. Eventually, someone needs help over at the small self-checkout lane. An approval for alcohol, to be exact. When T gets ready to go over there, I remind him that Karen told me to stay put. Since he wasn't old enough, he couldn't approve it by himself. C. Hello, I need someone to approve my alcohol purchase. Op. Hello sir. Unfortunately, my supervisor has told me that I have to stay in this area, and T is not old enough to approve it. I'll page for my supervisor right now for you. I page for Karen on our overhead system. After 5 minutes, I use our walkie-talkie system to ask if she's available. She says that she's busy and she'll teach me how to do my simple job later. It takes Karen 30 minutes for her to finally show up. Karen. Obviously pissed. What is it, Op? Op. Grinning. This customer needs an alcohol approval, and he's been pretty upset since he's been waiting for so long. Karen. Fuming. Well, why didn't you just do it? You're old enough. Op. You told me to stay put. So I did. Karen stomps over to the customer, puts in their ID, and stomps back over to me. Karen. Screaming, I'll do your job for you this time, but next time I won't be so nice about it. C. Walks over and asks, what was that all about? Why did I have to wait for so long? T and I quickly tell him the story, which makes him even madder once he learns that I would have been completely willing to help him, but I didn't want to be written up. I also tell him that there is a customer satisfaction survey he can take, and the link is on the back of his receipt. He looks at me and winks. He even has me write down Karen's name for him so he doesn't forget it. The aftermath. Turns out, C ended up taking the survey and contacting the store manager regarding the behavior he'd seen in Karen and both of our stories. Cameras backed our stories up, and we were told by the store manager that we can always assist the customer. I don't know what Karen was told, but she hasn't yelled at me since. Thanks for listening.